Illumination series as well as the Ambani Chronicles. And I am joined once again by Jocelyn Short.
Hey.
She is a digital artist and concept creator, and she's the creator of the Bearers series, which we are waiting patiently to see when that comic comes out. A link to her website will be in the description of this episode. And we are also joined, welcome back, Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, I'm back from my hiatus.
Back from his teaching adventures. Thank you for coming by. Jordan is the creator of Eve of Insurrection. Uh, what's the second one? The
Even reclamation.
Eve of Reclamation, and he's also the artist of the Ancient Illumination graphic novels as well as the Ambani Chronicles, Genesis of the Chaos Master. He also did Jericho's Bane comic adaptation by Errol J. Knight. And he will be working on issue 2 for me pretty soon, the Ambani Chronicles. We don't know what the subtitle is. Today, we are talking Star Wars Visions again. We're back to this series, and before we get started, I have to make a correction. On our first episode, Cartoon Saloon, which did Screecher's Reach, is an actual Irish animation studio. But for whatever reason, they have Lucas Animation prominently featured in their IMDb for that episode, which I don't, as far as I've seen, all the other studios are listed by themselves. They don't have LucasArts or Lucas Animation. So this is why I thought initially that
They're
Lucas had.
probably working in tandem with that animation department or company. I and the only reason I think so, I interviewed with Lucasfilm last year to like be the person who will work with other like animation and game studios to make sure that like the Star Wars IP looks consistent with whatever companies they work with, so that like Yoda looks like Yoda across the board, whoever they work with. So that's probably why you're seeing Lucasfilm, like prominent, because like they're still making sure that like, yeah, this is still ours, but
Yeah.
but the animation studio should like that who actually made it should be, prominent. So
Or at
Yeah.
least properly credited. They should be
yeah.
there in the credits of the episode.
The only thing because we were talking last time, Jordan, you weren't here,
What I missed.
but the other studios, El Geary Studios, out of Spain, are listed by themselves.
Mm.
The episode we're talking about today, episode 3 in the stars, is a Chilean animation studio, Punk Robot. They're listed by themselves. You don't see LucasArts, and I don't think I saw Aardman Team, the UK or the British studio that did I Am Your Mother, the fourth
The fourth
episode that
episode.
we're discussing today. I don't see Lucasfilm listed. That's why for whatever reason, I thought
Oh,
they were more prominently featured in the listing for Cartoon Saloon for whatever reason.
yeah. Jocelyn's correct. Like they most definitely worked in tandem. So that's
Yeah.
most definitely what
I,
happened probably.
I figured that one without saying that they worked in tandem
hmm
with all of them because they're working on something that they own the IP for. So
Right.
of
They
course,
probably did, but they may have done more animation work. That's what we don't have
okay,
the exacts on it. They could have done more animation work or pre-production work or whatever.
yeah,
Or the other studios could have just took the IP and ran with it and did their own thing. So
yeah. And that's pretty much what I thought was happening. Like
mhm.
I had made comments that why not just let the other studios play if you're going to give them the IP. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And today we're talking about episode 3, In the Stars by Punk Robot. Like I said before, a Chilean animation studio. We got some interesting art, stop motion, claymation looking stuff with 2 sisters that seem to be the last of their race on this planet where the empire is taking over. So we got the Imperial complex, interesting infusion of culture, and they kind of open it up. We're not sure whether the youngest one is actually force sensitive or not, or whether she's just, how kids kind of play. Um, Interesting to me visually. The action we got was good. The color palette was nice. I looked at the backstory or the behind the scenes and saw that they actually used Patagonia as one of the locations that they were trying to feature in the art direction. So they were trying to instill a lot of actual culture, and just the visuals were based on something. I had a foundation of reality, basically. What did you guys think of this episode?
I thought it was beautiful, first of all, like visually. It reminded me a lot of Kubo. That
Mhm.
hmm I was curious if it was the same. If Leica did it. That's the studio who did
Yeah.
Kubo. Uh, but it reminded me a lot. I like the way that they were designed. Like I don't know, like if like who they were was like a specific kind of race in Star Wars, but I liked the way that they looked, like the design of those characters. Um, the story was, I was curious if like the child, like the little girl, if she actually had the force, or like you said, if she was force sensitive or not.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure. But I guess it was more so that the big sister had the actual force. It,
Mm.
I don't know. Like if
Yeah, you
she,
don't. It's interesting. You don't really know. I think it's possible that both of them were force sensitive, but just I think the older sister maybe refrained at first because we get the beautiful kind of story of what happened and how their mother was kind of an activist that was going to fight against the empire and went up there and whoop butt all by herself.
And
And
they show her using the full, like using, and that kind of like retelling. They show her kind of using some type of force sensitive ability. So I was like, oh, cool.
I have a
yeah,
question.
uh,
So, is there a difference between like actually having the force and being force sensitive? Like, I thought it was where if someone is force sensitive, they can tell when people around them have the force without them knowing, you know, like,
no,
but they can't actually use the force. Is there a difference?
there may be a difference in degree of your sensitivity, whether you may be force sensitive, and like you said, you can tell when others are force sensitive or where something is connected loosely to the force around you. And then there'll be a degree to which someone can actually manipulate and use the force. And now that it's been kind of scienced up most recently, it would be that's why the midichlorian
The
count is important. The higher your
midichlorians.
midichlorian count,
Ugh.
the more force sensitive you would be, the more powerful and able to use the force you would be. So it could be that the youngest sister is the least force sensitive, and maybe the older sister is more force sensitive, and maybe both of them are not as powerful as their mother was. But it may be that they're late bloomers too, and that as they grow older, it could manifest itself more and more in the future. We don't know, but I think it was supposed to be like the last two of them left of their
Yeah.
people. Like
Have we seen their kind of race of people in Star Wars War? Because I feel like I've watched a lot of stuff and I didn't recognize them.
no, I
So
think
I
this
was
was
like, oh,
a creation of Punk Robot and their director Gabriel Osorio. I think that's all they're doing. But I mean, I
okay.
could be wrong because there's so
There's so
much
much, right?
media and lore within Star Wars. There could realistically be dozens of other races that, even with all the extensive reading I've done, that I would have no idea where they came from.
Okay. But so overall, like similar to you, Jocelyn, I thought this was very similar to Leica. I was like, I recognized the style. I was like, oh, it's very familiar. So visually, it was great. So there was no complaint there. That was awesome. Um, I actually more so really enjoyed like the backstory of like this reference to just colonialism and
Mhm.
imperialism and like, oh, we have the empire taking people's resources and water, and we can kind of parallel that to like just corporations and how they've kind of gone into different countries and taken their resources. So I thought that was pretty cool. um I thought like there was a lot of like intensity and emotion going throughout the episode as they got closer to when they got to that factory where they were collecting the water, were collecting all the water, and that was a cool scene with like action scenes and some nice emotions and like had me on the edge of my seat for a second.
I wanted to know how the little sister beat her to the facility.
I
When
I
she
was
could
Yeah,
thinking
shoot
about
first,
that because it felt like I don't know if I just had stopped paying attention for a second, but it felt like she just showed up.
she did,
Okay,
as kids do,
I,
in stories.
that's
They just show up at
true. It just
places.
showed up.
Yeah.
like the older sister scouting the place out with her binoculars, and little sister's already getting hemmed up before.
She's like, oh, oh. They already got her. I was like, Jesus. So that's that Tachina. Like they got her. I was like, oh goodness, younger siblings.
I really would like to know how she got over. Like, big sis came over in a boat. was evaded all of the spotlights in the water and stuff. Like,
Tina was in
she
the
has an
boat the whole
oar.
time.
All,
She was
all
hidden
she
in the
has was
boat.
an oar. She had
she
the
just,
one oar, and she said, and watched her sister like drift off in the distance on the water. And the
she
next
fast
thing you
traveled.
know, she's bypassed. She had the shortcut. Like, why didn't you take that way the first time?
She fast traveled. That's what she did.
Mm-hmm,
That's
mm-hmm.
what she did. Yeah, yeah.
She was determined though, boy. She wasn't like you finna stay here as usual, like as you usually do. As always, you're gonna stay here, and I'm gonna go get the water we need to survive, and then I'm gonna come back. And she's like, I gotta beat them. It's like, how are you gonna beat anybody? You can't. But the leg sweep was hilarious though. When she swept the sister's leg and knocked her down at first, like she was caught off guard. That was the look on her face was hilarious. This was almost like I say claymation because the next episode was more of a claymation thing, but this almost looked like, I don't know what you said, like paper mache. How they
This
molded.
was stop motion. I mean, both episodes were stop motion, just different
Yes.
styles. Like the next episode was more Wallace and Gromit.
Waiting for you to say it, Jocelyn.
Yeah.
Waiting for you to say it. I was like, yes.
Yeah, Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, that kind of style. Whereas the first one was like Box Trolls, Kubo, Paranorman, like that. Just more of
you could harken it back to Nightmare Before Christmas. That's
Yeah.
all that type of stop motion animation.
Yeah. One has more edges and the other one is just more rounded.
Yeah, blobby.
And looks more like almost the second one almost had like a Gumby quality to it. Like I said, styling of Wallace and Gromit. Because I thought of the sheep from I was like, this looks like the same. Sure enough, it was the same studio that does those shows that did this.
Cool.
I mean, did the second one. But yeah, it was the way everything was presented, the backstory, the storytelling was interesting, and then the action was interesting once they got to it, because you knew the little sister was going to get in trouble, and then they were going to have to fight their way out of it. What do you guys think about the action of the story?
I thought it was interesting. I thought it would have been. I of course you kind of knew that like the little sister wasn't gonna die, but I wasn't hoping for it. But I was like, this would be crazy if they let that happen. Like
they're not gonna do it. They weren't gonna do it. They weren't gonna do it. I knew they weren't gonna do it, but I was like, it'd be nice.
I was like, dang, wow,
really make me cry. Like,
yeah, I was like, oh.
Like even the stormtroopers are kind of killed off camera. Like they get knocked off the ledge. I mean, we don't see them get up, but they, they might have survived. I mean, because
that's true. We don't see them resurface.
Yeah, we don't see them. But
wait, we do. Wait. No, we see them at the end. They embrace and everything. So they did make it.
They make it, but I'm saying you don't see the stormtroopers that got knocked off.
Oh yeah,
they can die. They can die. It's okay. It's just
the nameless, faceless enemy.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the whole plot reminded me. I mean, the whole plot, like you said, is generally based on industrialization and colonizing, all that kind of stuff and corporate greed. But it reminded me like exactly of Final Fantasy VII's kind of plot with Shinra in the live stream. Very similar.
The officer even says like this planet and its resources belong to the Empire.
Oh my God, here we
go. Got rid of these things. Like we still got two of these things running around.
I thought that them pulling out is it an ATST?
Yes.
Pulling that out seemed a little. So I was like, y'all had all these stormtroopers. Why'd you had to bring that out just for two people? Like,
I saw that.
Was a little like I was like, y'all are weak. Like y'all couldn't just get like some knockoff Inquisitor or somebody with a.
Yeah, I was like, this is excessive.
I mean, but that's how they. If you look at the illustrations in the beginning, that's how they knocked their mama off.
But it was like two people.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
They watched her pick up. I guess they overreacted because they're like, oh, we watched her use the Force. She might be powerful as her mom. We're gonna bring out the big guns. I'm like, even if she was forced, if she was even more powerful, she could just throw that thing. But I was like, still, you could have brought.
What do you think of the misdirect? Did you think at first they were force grabbing the walker
Oh,
when they reached behind them and
yeah. I was thinking they were gonna do it. I was like, oh, you're gonna destroy the whole mechanism, infrastructure. I was like, got me. I was like,
I
you
don't
just
know how
rather
much that
got me.
helped though.
What do you mean? It did help. It was about free. That helped.
But they poisoned the planet so that everything was gone. They just unleashed like good water into
Yeah,
poison.
I was thinking that. I was like, I
point.
mean, this is great, like greater good, yeah,
Y'all
whatever. But I'm like, now the water is dirty. Now you got all these dead guys in it and stuff.
Yeah.
Good point. They should have just destroyed the ATST and threw the lady off the balcony.
I
And
mean,
then
it's
took over
better.
the water station. They could have just took over the water station, kept the water.
I mean, they did the right thing because, you know, I don't know, maybe there's already a way that they had to, and this is me reaching, right? Because we don't have any of this info, but
Yeah.
like maybe they already had some kind of way that they already had to purify the water and stuff, so they didn't worry about that. You know, we were just like, yeah, we just want the water back.
Yeah. But I mean, they had access to a body of water there because she takes the boat across it. So if they had a way to purify that water, then there would be no need to sneak into the facility.
You're right.
Water.
I said I was reaching.
I'm going out left field. We'll see where it goes. Where it's gonna take me. No.
And I kind of like that they left it open to interpretation. We really don't know who is truly force sensitive because they were holding hands at the moment. So it could have been a sister and it could have been the little one. We don't know. They didn't clarify, except for we do know that the older sister was definitely force sensitive because she snatched her up and fallen off the cliff.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, yeah, that was confirmed. I was like, yeah, that was Big Sis who did that
I
crap.
feel like Big Sis is really the only one who's actually force sensitive. I think the little sister is sensitive to her big sister being sensitive, so she probably felt like, no, we can do it. You know, she was so confident in the fact that like, no, we can do this because she's so close to her sister that like she probably feels like she also has the force, which is why she's always like holding on her head, doing force stuff.
Oh yeah, and then when Big Sis does that, she extends her hand at the same time, and I like when you make that connection, Josh. It's really funny and just mirrors like the relationship between siblings, where like the younger sibling wants to be like the older sibling, idolizes them. I think that's just like really like strong connection made.
I'll be force sensitive by proximity just because.
Yeah, like I can do it. Yeah, sure you can.
Like, yeah, you about to get mollywopped and the force ain't working for you.
Big Sis is like, no, you can't. And she's like, yes, we can. Yes, I can do it. I'm big and strong. No, you can. I mean, she can do something. She fast traveling across the lands to get.
Yeah,
she used the force. She used the force to walk across. She used the force to walk across.
She got something going on. She got a safe sphere somewhere up in her or something. I don't know. So.
Yeah, that was a cool episode. I enjoyed it. Let's move on to the 4th episode, I Am Your Mother, which is another claymation episode for and Jordan, you're right. We were kind of talking off air that it's a departure from the previous animations and other things that we've seen from the first season, which were definitely more anime like in the art style and the execution of the animation. This is sure enough like claymation, stop motion, like I said, from Wallace and Gromit, and actually from the same studio, Aardman team in the UK. Director is Magdalena Osinka, I believe. She's from Poland, but the company is from the UK. I Am Your Mother is a play on the famous line in Empire Strikes Back. Instead of I Am Your Father, it's I Am Your Mother. There were lots of little Easter eggs in this. We have a Wookiee that speaks Shuri-Wook. We have 2 Twi'leks that have Aleku, the tentacles on their head, that are in some type of, I don't know if they're at like some space academy. I'm not sure what planet they're on, but they had Wedge Antilles that was introducing the race, which is a prominent figure in Star Wars, and a famous X-Wing pilot. It seemed like a big play on pod racing.
Yeah,
kind of an ode to pod racing. Z1, the droid, of course, they had to have a droid to make it known that this was Star Wars. And I don't know if you guys noticed the laser cannon on one of the ships looked like a mini Death Star.
Yeah, that was awesome. Also, the ship one of the ships was very similar to the Mantis and Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. I was
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
was like, did they ever show who was in that ship?
I think it was the green aliens that start the race off that were intimidated by the Wookiees and the baby Wookiee that rips the arm off the dog.
Oh,
I
I
think that
thought
was
they had
them.
the thing that looked like a Y-wing mixed with like Obi-Wan speeder
Yeah,
with
because it
some
had
weird
that
thing.
that like cockpit that folded over, and I think it had that fin that went straight up. You see it spin in a
They
circle
had
when
it.
they got
Yeah,
shot.
yeah.
Um, I liked it. It was fun. It was like we were discussing. It was a mother-daughter relationship that they're kind of exploring. That the daughter was trying. I guess she was embarrassed about the mom and was trying to hide everything. Didn't even tell her that there was a family race day. The black and red ship kind of gave me Sith vibes, but it also looked like a painted Naboo cruiser. But
Mm-hmm.
instead of it being silver, it was black and red.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
I peeped that. I was like, that's familiar. It's familiar.
And there's always like these weird racing things in Star Wars where there's no rules. You can just start smacking ships around, shooting at
Wacky
each other.
racers. Speed racer.
Yeah, there's no rules. They just, it's a free for all. However you get here, you get here. If you had to knock them, they knock them through a viewport sign in the middle, like a highway sign. They knock them straight through it. What do you guys think of this episode?
I liked it. I thought it was very cute. The whole episode felt like, or at least the like visually, like we said before, Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, visual style. It felt like a stop motion version of an Illumination film.
Okay.
Like the way that those films kind of look, but just a stop motion style. The story was cute. I felt so sad for the mom
Yeah.
because I was just like, oh man, it's just she just in her own house, loving her a lot. It's not even. I mean, I guess I like you get it. I get it. Like she's a teenager and she's just like, oh, Mama, don't be this way. And so I understood it. I got it. I just felt so sad because I was like, she
I mean,
just
she could have avoided it had she just taken the lunch with her. Because that's why moms just pops up. Like, you forgot your lunch, Annie.
Moms was gonna they were gonna go get lunch and then do that race. That race is gonna happen regardless.
I mean, but if she had taken lunch with her, her mom probably would have stayed wherever she was. But she just huffed off and walked into the transport and left the little lunch pail that moms had made for her.
Yeah.
She was gonna make sure she got that lunch, and then she shows up like family race day for families.
I thought it was
we got one of them.
That she just showed up on the track. Like she didn't even look around to get context. Like I feel like you could even just look and see like in context, like, oh, there's a race happening. There's a starting line, there's an audience. Like
they all knew that was family race day. I don't know why she thought she's gonna hide that. Like, no, your mama knows about family race day. Y'all probably been racing all the time.
It's probably not their first one.
Right. This ain't the first one. Y'all getting roasted for having the junk. That
I think one of the characters did make a mention that this was the first one though. When they're walking to the platform, and the one girl with the weird triangle wig haircut, whatever, like her mama got the same thing, came over and started talking crazy to her. And the other alien's like, why do you let her talk to you like that?
I like that her friend said that. I like that her friend was like, no, that girl sucks. Like you shouldn't let her talk to you like that. I like that her friend helped her. Well, not that she saw it right away, but just like called her out on it. Like, what are you doing? Say something.
Stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
There's stereotypical classist stuff that you could tell they were rich and had money and felt like, what are you flying in a porta potty? No, actually, it's
they was wilding.
It's so mean.
Porta potty.
It's so mean.
Hey, the raggedy.
I feel like that's mean to say in any context. Like if we were in this world and your junk beat up, to be like, yo, you racing in a porta potty? Like, get out of here. We're gonna fight. Like, square up. You can't call anything I got a porta potty. I just feel like this.
The disrespect.
Yeah, like, it's so crazy.
It's just like, and I see that like nobody's monitoring the race route because you could almost seem like she kind of took a shortcut through, like, how do you get knocked off the race course, go through a sign, through some weird conduit system through the city,
Yep.
and then you just hop back on.
Hey.
Like you hear about people that like cheat at marathons when they like they start off the race, get their number, then hop in a car, drive down the way, and then wait, and then pop back in at the end. Like, I made it. It's like, we saw you get in the car. It was
They said,
weird,
I'm
but
here
of
for my
course,
friends. I'm not here for me.
yeah.
That's funny. It was interesting, like when they go through that conduit area, where they go through like the wires and cables, and they're like going down this tunnel, and the mom has to get out the car, get out the ship to get
Fix
Z1,
something.
because
Yeah.
Z1's also Z1 was outside the ship the whole time. Like when she pulls up, Z1's kind of like hanging on the outside
That's crazy.
before the race even starts. I
Right.
like notice that detail. I'm like, what the? And then Z1 reminded me of Slink. Was it
Sleep dog.
Slink Dog from Toy Story
Yeah.
mixed with R2D2? I'm like, what is this? And
He was a weird family dog droid hybrid thing.
yeah,
Even made the flaps, because when I watched the behind the scenes, they were talking about making the flaps on R2D2 where he hides Luke Skywalker's lightsaber in that compartment. They just made 2 of those and made that like his little dog ears at the top of his, because he basically acted like a dog.
a dog. It was. So I was like, that's funky. I'm like, that's funny. That's cool. And then
Yeah,
how they just
I don't know if I'd
episode.
watch like a longer version of this, but it was an interesting departure. The first one more so than the second one, but I did enjoy them both. It gave us a little bit of variety, which I think is fun within this series, and why I like the first scene of Star Wars Visions, mainly because it's so different from the other mediums we get. I think Andrea and I were discussing it last time we talked about this. Like, I didn't want to see just more Star Wars Rebels or the Clone Wars. Like, we needed something to be visually stimulating in different ways than what we were already presented with, to carry on the legacy of Star Wars and basically see different studios take. And like, what would you do if we dumped this in your lap and you were able to run with it? What would you do? And that's what we're getting to see, which I liked.
I agree.
Jocelyn Jinx. Agreed.
I agree.
Nothing else to add to that. Yeah.
Of these 2, which one did you prefer?
Probably the second one, just because it was more fun. The first one visually. The second one story wise, I liked a little better.
I don't.
I think, like, or at least
Fair.
not even story wise, tonally. I'll say that.
Okay. I personally don't have a. For me, it's I don't. They're both the same. Like they like no. I don't prefer one over the other because they do very different things. And it's like I wasn't like completely like I wasn't like, oh, this is amazing. Like I wasn't like super excited. But when I got down to like when you look at the kind of themes and what they're exploring, and the execution and animation, I feel like everything's like on this nice kind of even note of like I really enjoyed that. Like that was fun. Like the Wacky Racer, I Am Your Mother, that episode made me laugh. Like that was enjoyable. I laughed when there was a moment when they flip, like when they get to the finish line, and like they of course do the Ryloth spin move, and then make it, and then I guess the antagonist, they end up like flipping out and then stopping right before the finish line. Like that was such a like OG animation move. I was like, hey, that was cool.
I was really hoping like at that moment when they had stopped just short, and they fell, I was hoping that like all the other racers would like zoom past.
Just zoom by, yeah. Oh, that would have been even better.
Yeah.
So like that episode, like the I Am Your Mother had some good aspects, and then of course with the previous episode, is it Into the Stars?
Yes, In the Stars.
In the Stars. Yeah. That I like the themes and the visual style of that and the action. So like they all were great in itself.
Yeah. I think I probably vibe with In the Stars a little more, mainly because it had more my style of action within the confines of the story. Visually, I liked it slightly better, but more so for the action. But I like the storytelling in it. The connection between, I guess, their lost ancestors, which it was kind of the connection between them and the stars. And I guess when the clouds, I guess because of all the pollution, the clouds were kind of overcast. And once they destroyed the facility, the overcast went away, and then they could see the stars again. If you notice the little palm on the special painting started lighting up again, because when they first described the story and then she goes to it, it goes, all that goes dark. All the little glowy paint, whatever they had, that stuff was all dark, and it symbolized, I guess, their reconnection with the force and the reconnection with their lost loved ones who were presumably within the stars now watching over them.
Yeah, I will say for the first one, as far as the action is concerned, I wish I could have seen more of like the big sister action with like her staff. I thought her staff looked really cool, and I wanted to see her just do more stuff with
Understandable.
it. I was like, dang, you know, when she threw it, you know, when she was trying to go after her little sister, I was kind of, I knew that the action stuff was done at that point, but I was sad because I was like, dang, we didn't get enough.
More.
Send some more people, be like Sifu in the arenas. You gotta more people spawn in for you to beat
Oh,
up.
that's funny. Keep going. Keep fighting. Keep fighting.
It was timed. It was a timed quick time event.
Did y'all peep out the Mandalorian mask on Mom's?
Yep.
The second episode, I Am Your Mother, when she was like welding or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
still
yeah.
catching up on all the Star Wars.
Jocelyn, come on, Jocelyn.
I know it's coming.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about within the episode. They actually have
Yeah,
the
see-
mom in a Mandalorian mask as she's working on something in the house and in the ship. Like there are lots of little hints and Easter eggs and nuggets they throw at you within, in addition to the title of the show throughout the episode, which is really cool for people that are fans of Star Wars to kind of pick out and recognize and become the Leonardo DiCaprio meme when they're pointing at the screen because they recognize.
Whoa. Drop cigarette. Whoa.
Yeah, these were cool. Not sure what we're going to talk about next week. May come back to Visions, or if the crew is together and everybody's watched Guardians, we can tackle Guardians before it becomes old news. But thank you guys for taking time out of your day to discuss these things with us. Thank you, two or three lurkers that are catching the live right now. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to us chop it up about Star Wars Visions. Check out the description of the episode on Spotify for podcasters. There'll be links to all of our websites so you can support us. And toughwraps.com for you health conscious nerds out there that want to work out, get your wrist wraps and knee wraps and all those things. Jack's Writer is the 10% off code if you want to get your workout on. And I guess we will see you all next week.
Peace.
See ya.